racist flex, so that's not fitting. And I don't even think he knows, honestly.
Yeah, that's honestly better. Okay, we good now?
Really sure he wants that.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Advantage 1 is the environment, despite not being carbon neutral. The EPA's label 4 is bioenergy, such as many substances in the federal land bloomer. 22, the U.S. Canadian Department of bioenergy and renewable Congress passed out in incorporation of categories bioenergy as carbon neutral. The EPA issued policy classified 4 biomass as carbon neutral. The EPA to include the Center for Regulation of Bioenergy, safety and emissions, especially the next job that promotes fully biomass rights funding. The U.S. encourages agency to develop biomass and develop clean energy. The Act provides funding for use. Also allocates $1 billion for power facility bioenergy useful in the U.S. Since the core some of the biomass energy production locates at 5 quadrillion thermal unit. That leads to a carbon accounting loophole where forced energy is technically renewable but dumps emissions in the atmosphere, locking environmental structure in Canberra. The 21 permission for logging for biomass and forced by centuries technically renewable logging application of the biomass on the carbon accounting loophole. The burning carbon neutral and generates greater emissions than coal because more is required to generate the same energy cutting trees, but this is almost hard. This is recovered until more growth, which will take decades of logging puts up 3/4 millions of tons of carbon into the atmosphere annually, supported by the industry, the most power control. This is for logging control lands and the public eventually increase emissions and worsen. The climate emissions because the border increases and heat droughts, wildfires, but emissions, storms, and logging subsidies only. To our climate change and climate scenario 1 is warming with bioenergy process of past 3 months to be able to stop warming turbine. 22 with bioenergy increases. Carbon accelerate global warming on the temporarily elevated levels of the housing universal climate change damage on the assessment. The carbon for wood becomes more immediately. Ice on the Halifax air, like the rise, and the wildfires more. Likely warmer than so that takes more than if wood had been burning, except the warming from wood increases significantly going beyond ones that lead to water climate change and hospitals and the sea levels. The rise in millions and the current yields of crops fall. Droughts and wildfires that takes more frequently than warm. They should warming coastal water beyond and basic points that lead. The irreversible harm, warming causes extinction minus. The 20 heat ocean being also over TC and harder than the last. Lead oceans falling oxygen with the ocean gas boats and so on. And it's an every next to those on the bed. Month border by UPs as existing in North Europe, Russia, Canada, Canada, his precipitation vibrates so as the bullet. Away it does seem to have been so much away we turn organized on the back there, seeing there, no one knows what they're going to blind them, shooting the issue in the thought of Russia. Which of the earth was water, there needs a low investments and also takes there. My fully young classes up on the same page with CO2 that should cross. I can't spike up the pressure by 8 degrees decided. The feedback which feels over to greenhouse gas, the more keep burning fossil fuels, it goes we get to the same point of paralysis of the entire planet. After we see huge direct build, ability disposed. Now the plants have lose where they said 90% have to make a difference between station. Opening a system and activity with the population of everyone's health and the just get up to the fly, lies, push. To electric is not too late, never will we just don't talk about it, choose better to 5 and so on. Tipping points are likely to catch Travis Pratt. The 23 system will give me 0 which is very shape rates on the layer change, all systems with the radar, and all of temperature need to be limited to 1 degree of layer already at 1.2. By the surgery, tipping points play to warming becomes self-reinforcing, the performance not, lack of knowledge, the system will change from wind models from not capturing all the races, and south. Ocean air buffer generation, some of the foundation studies are cutting over harsher races out of Harvey given the uncertainty high possibility should receive potential attention in the worst case. Wood biomass is worse than fossil fuels, Robertson. Your 23 research around a CTL study with leaking emissions demonstrated the wood pellets milled in the U.S. all exported on there, something like 10 million tons of emissions. This will be higher in 2030. Further conversions go ahead and the naturally release carbon by selecting force using wood increase carbon in the atmosphere for the centuries even when wood replaces coal, oil, or natural gas, and the fact is road. But urging them to stop burning industries making energy wood for harvesting for energy will raise emissions 70% over fossil fuel equivalent fire wood more than double emissions burning wood biomass is worse than fossil fuels from its far. Forestry is the level of energy forest by the by for the best wood protect biodiversity and carbon recovery. Reforestation is key to reverse warming bloomer. 22 effective climate change mitigation requires addressing long-term and near-term risks to take within 1.5 million after super forest mass. Carbon storage and minus on the release of allowing up for deforestation, which strengthen the Earth's central station capacity and stay within 1.5 million miles impacts of climate change and hits. Mitigation will slow feedback loops that sound like warming. The one must meet and 1.5 meeting is required. Some of the moving the carbon storage and forest. The scenario 2 is biodiversity deforestation collapse of the biodiversity external to warming. Christensen. 22 forest a little bit more. The mitigation of the bridge on biodiversity extinction of trees and not simply stakes. 80% of plants and animals live in forests, which directly support 1 billion people in the forest for conservation. Enhance biodiversity and biodiversity loss is simply catastrophic on the warming. Biodiversity on the communities in the environment. Presence of creating oxygen through respiration for supporting food. The biodiversity increases the resilience to toxin and holding inherent value to spirit and the important since the dinosaur result in that. Extinction the rest of our making is critical policymakers center actions to restore ecosystem body this far significant. Action biodiversity loss causes extinction. Dorso. 22 by 2015 of biomass is for the large domesticated animals, wildlife, 1.3% extermination, loss of population, these surface not a loss of species, of indoor species dependent on ecofunction, including the network of species, on the diversity of species, not beyond limits and pollination, nutrient cycle erosion control, zoonosis, so the regulation of millions of years of plankton, the fungi, have human population, and diversity, related disease, vectors, and extreme weather, community, can thrive after the bounty, host, and people. Present recovery times occurs unrealistic. Defense is wrong and not dependent on warming, great person. 22 other remedies with great action, thread of the chain, interbasic with resources, show changes, on the right opportunity to adapt, however, speed acceleration, critical extinction, including humans, unlearning animals, high from the acid, number of heating, and destroys food, animal possess, and dependency, extinction of one. Result of extinction of another, even when the latter would adapt, need regulation beyond temperature levels, is a reference to biology we consider. Habitability of our species and the others we depend on for survival, we must, as a third is beyond warming. The U.S. actions keep global biodiversity grasp. Not taking that all over the world, and integrating, pushing our border system, has capacity to after yards, biodine land, power flats, and far runway from the land of bar. One of the opponent who has a structure resolution play by the role that has such a punch being hit the hardest moves. There's birds adapted to be outside of the wire for fires and the weather resistance prey. Brian's moves by when it takes the fire help absorb very polar and plant species. One of the world's greatest centers of biodine over 10,000 species of advanced million acres, vast of landscape, less species. Provide safe refuge. The AFF solves first subsidies. Any of them is key to south of forest energy expansion experiment. 22 subsidies of wood bio energy plus wood bio energy taxpayers are paying pellet and power producers make comment would change worse and you go to just that innovation that energy source markets under technology is going to be able to be able to clean out energy and then needs affordably out the investments in energy efficiency too. Keep global matter 2 degrees emissions let's follow wood bio energy increases on the emissions and make climate change worse or these good with years even though wood this places coal any subsidies without wood bio energy to grow reduce emissions a lot. The force continue to grow observing their vital overall carbon sinks and moderate climate change. Second, international U.S. election loans to signal the rent shifts and leakage buffer. 23, the Southeast not only the outflow security export at semi-production there pushing the industry out of the region fever very relation back. Few factors make this unlikely that produce a lack of ability to pick up and move given rich investment manufacturing reliance on the local network so European demand is less than it's going to be responded by as we can trade by which is alternative energy rather than seeking out new supplies while in Southeast minor share by indicate leakage of time is spread over by expanding heading in the concert with the use to turn away and expanding the markets that stronger market signal that signal service one part driver policy change thus the plan the United States government shall eliminate void by subsidies the advantage 2 is sacrifice zones force energy devastate black and just movies come up 20 Forces Southeastern using the life for conservative the Amazon fuel. The wood pellet industry is going to go and take all of the biomass that giants possess. Temporary plants decided although it can be used to color the ecological conditions and the is right by biomass. So enormously consequence of environmental justice biomass. Position themselves as that and they negotiate with renewable energy proposed facilities. Biomass 10 drops and chamber hazardous on the bulge have comments and nitrous oxides and dust. In noise in a company where facilities fail to install required pollution controls and policy concentrating in the needs where black and indigenous people and other people come in the lowest income residents already made its proportion high cost of toxins and activists repair. Biomass publicity and environmental tourism which activism the activists fight against biomass. Local minority communities have protested and fought against environmental racism with wood pellet operation Shumway. The 23 cited wood pellet production plants is done without opposition from local communities and multiple NWACP chapters and come out in opposition to the wood pellet operation fighting that from acres of liberty biomass power plants following some increase in exposure to the number of the nutrient emission of just smog as that of sulfur dioxide and other toxins than any other racial group in America. I made a clear-cut example of environmental racism. The American Lung Association, American Heart Association opposed explanation of wood pellet production due to health risks in society communities production to degraded water quality out of the ecosystem services and harvest and treats of wood pellet operation to do more. It's important now like communities and NEG communities on the opposition of the communities in which the plants are cited often goes unheeded. Forest energy production trees minority communities to sacrifice zones Shumway. 23 by massive relatively portion of active wood pellet production and the U.S. South and historically marginalized communities that pay interest created new green sacrifice zone. The effective wood biomass production on localized communities of vital consideration and noticeably absent from biomass laws of the U.S. The racial targeting of wood pellet companies is spreading through federal subsidies to formal communities in California polar. The 24-hour wood and pellet production skyrocketing in the U.S. across the U.S. South ever since often African Americans and poor laws found massive left and air dusting people sick millions of dollars available projects under Biden's signature law and the produces West environmentalists on what the color over the saw in disincentivizing emissions of polluted communities and color interviews with residents of towns of blood coming from North Carolina to Alabama supply. Service complaints of pollution pellet lands in vivo the world's largest pollution being received some use of the farm bill writing maintain secretary of companies who create pellets for European nation pollution from biomass and facility and these are 3 times higher than that of other industry sectors and corporations side in the agreement and environment biomass like California's forest that deal with the danger. The California still with Latino communities that much like the industry of the food black soil and town forest biomass tours minority communities into sacrifice sounds groups 24 that are been strategies unfolding as election into communities called the British biofuels on the giant trucks and will turn word from the China California that was wood pellets to be sold in Asia at a generalized scale. Transportation should be operation regarding through the port of Stockton already overburdened community. This means that disadvantaged communities have risk in the environmental sacrifice element the massive scale of the operation has negative health impacts and those communities want those facilities stopped. Across 23 communities face increased air pollution which impact all communities have for good reason and will they run the way down across the national projects are greater than the project is having issues they are facing local communities that seem to be impacted from the project certification at all advanced on the cars and cars. Also value city forest communities that face overwhelming pollution burdens deserve better. Revoking forest biomass nation is renewable and movie subsidies collapse of the industry come up. 20 the international biomass and environmental technical regime verifications every biomass is the nation's renewable gradually creates market share without any tax supply chain farmers all that essential subsidies of biomass is claimed to be renewable. It's at its facility from scrutiny and the essential no lacking value surrounding state forward claims about positive effective face value. The forest biomass industry is now price competitive and cannot spread on subsidies north. 21 price per wood is biomass alone which reduce public being swelling wood based biomass and development else found that their financial incentive to harvest biomass is small landowners more likely engaging wood based biomass production they are short of assistance government subsidies are designed to ensure investment in the biomass harvesting from any biomass facility have attainable biomass harvest potential however landless loggers and key stakeholders in biomass production trust that a biomass for bioenergy was made to pursue stable incentive to invest in the biomass supply chain. Can I get a sip of water? Very good. Okay, I'm good. Okay.
First question, what does the AFF do about environmental racism outside of biomass?
Nothing. The affirmative has identified that biomass subsidies are a unique form of environmental racism.
That's cool. My next question, a little random but still relevant. What is the historical significance of Rosa Parks in the civil rights movement?
Ethan, you want to answer this question?
You don't know?
Well, obviously she was important because they started the bus boycotts in Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay,
I think
cool.
that's probably an example
Okay,
of that.
that's fine.
But I don't.
my next question, I want to talk about the colon 22 card. It says a lot of people are obviously against biomass processes, right? It says biomass position themselves as limited champions of renewable energy. It talks about facilities. What does he have to do to clean up those facilities?
Well, the evidence we read, the card next to it, says that those industries cannot survive absent the subsidies.
But like they still exist, so I'm like, how do you get rid of that?
No, if the industry doesn't exist, well, okay, obviously like facilities shut down, but they can stop the production.
So it's like, they may shut down, but what stops people from not cleaning them up is the question.
I mean, I guess I'm confused with this distinction. We think that a result of ending the subsidies would end up cleaning up those facilities because they'd have to transition.
What piece of evidence have we said? What piece of evidence said?
Okay, so I think this argument is really bad. If you're gonna go for
you just asked for a
don't
warrant, and
clean things
then you
up.
said my argument was bad. I'm asking for a warrant that justifies the thing you just made process.
Two things. One, we think that the harms caused by the current production massively outweighs what would happen if facilities aren't cleaned up when they're closed. Two, we think that cleaned up facilities probably is normal means for the companies that are moving away from these facilities and moving their resources out of those areas.
Next question, Forest 23 says, Stockton residents are greatly concerned about the project. Which ones?
I don't know the specific residents because I don't know like XYZ person.
You know
the community in general.
Stockton?
Don't know the specific neighborhood, but we've identified that.
Who advocates for those nations or like I guess communities?
Well, we don't think we need to advocate for communities.
No, I'm saying who has advocated for those communities outside the residents themselves?
Yeah, I don't think anyone. I think our argument.
You don't think anyone?
We don't think. Obviously, we have identified that they have made demands that ought to be thought about.
Okay, thought about the debate. What does it mean to think about those?
Well, talk about, use as a reason to vote out.
Why should we use black people as a reason to vote out?
Well, no, we should recognize that their demands have veracity.
Well, sure, that's not unique because their demands already exist. My question is about voting for Kansas specifically outside
demands exist, but we think it's a good idea to focus discussion on climate policy towards those demands.
Why? I'm confused why. You haven't explained why it's true.
What do you mean?
Why is it good to talk about those demands?
It is good because otherwise those demands are ignored in spaces like debate.
Why is that true?
Because you have identified it is either they are included or they are
not. Last question. What environmental racism goes on in Kansas?
I don't think I know the answer. I would not have examples.
That's fine. We'll take the last stated scrap, I guess.
Yeah, I'll sound out the dog right now. I just went off and then. Let me know when you're
I did hit start the recording though. That'd be really embarrassing if I did this 2 debates in a row and didn't hit start. Let me make sure. Hey, perfect. Okay. I'm just like petrified about becoming a debate after that. Okay. I just got it.
I'm good too. Cool. Alright, everyone good? Yeah, cool.
The largest racial council cannot be distinguished from the largest labor racial council, the board building and policy international coordination reform associated with the largest class times 24 week, or the these in place context, and their over-essentialization of black death that creates institutions of violence for burden sharing and ignores the social life inside social death. Bruno 2024 race and death rates premature death, altitude of the field, institutions of environmental burdens, associations under the percentage of facility with exposure and intersections of the rate of communities, peoples of bodies of pleasure. What else is these spaces, containers of pollution, death, and the game for optimized essentialization of communities like that, and so there's a black death. And the storytelling of the morning requires a description of dehumanization for the basis point of the political movement. This creates a body-centered understanding of blackness that requires its entity to animate the same forms of acting like minus that overtaxes black flesh during case Bruno 2024. All HS scholars are written on environmental justice knowledge about blackness and limited self-determining likely because it's over emphasis still need for Asian communities to root in a state that reduces inadequate EJ action and emphasizes like the little attended black right your voices of black people as it goes under black people their bodies and political pledges disturbing black struggles by spreading the dehumanization of black people this is black life and undermines black intellectual life social religious discursively overtaxes suffering the black bodies and everyone respect their emotion to the poisoning after black minds attack movements attendant experiences of black life joy and a black sense of place. And the one sees form of legal liberalism is support and interest convergence that reinforces colonial values of and de-radicalizes rural nations, demands for structural transformation, climate justice there, attempts to racialized nations are a form of violence that creates interventionist politics and creates a philosophy like turning case rally and case 23 legal techniques that are transforming the international legal order and facilitate imperialism, international law to world nations that advocate for limited climate change, territorial law, and territories address climate change through redistributed universalism, the direct struggles of colonialism, and governance, de-radicalized ruralism, so to give people's reinforced injustices, liberalism, Western democracy, national society, justice, and the structural meaning of the world, and supervision, liberal law, Western hegemony, losing trade regulation, hyperfederalization, economy, semi-war, inventions, global self-design, and liberal interventionism, defining how the illegal integrity is over America's purpose of good governance, facilitate the development of power dynamics, converges the interesting forces of self-help and charity that do not challenge the change structural status quo. And the AFF operates as good global citizen under radical movements against systemic oppression, are also not diluted by the idea from colonialism, version strategy, taking a literal humanism strategy. Giving good global citizens do not rule they help us with the conscious motivation of ones that advantage the meaning of finding the meaning of these guilt, active identifying need for moderation, the design of another echoes, universalized project, modernization, illusion, these projects are always the needs, but less more sort of must also be saved by poor business money, business leadership, but also see determined by the more values of the white middle class of the Western world, is quest for equality and justification, and stop the ideological tax and neoliberalism, ways based domination, helping more through more cities and through that taking into the eliminating any dollar resistance from either side. And the one I see as an urbanist revolution for the sake of abolition, for rationalizing movements to infinitely reverse political stance and inevitably colludes with the elite sustained running global order. James 20, after capitalism is the was also by the side of the regime around the Airbus was about the article was no longer about black women, black women become black women, not about the search and Jackson, making the use of the word of the university, Davis surgery was not trouble, we can long ago, were civilized by the Germany and say not, and Davis says defense 3 years after the same war with the CIA, and issues convergence with the issues of least a line of Davis was headed about an all-way jury, the view and extremism, realize the war is not a metaphor, how the race abolitionism, minimize the agency, use political residents, separation, take on the promote responsible task, and colonial racial capitalism is imploding through existential permacrisis, one see traditional skin framework fails to realize a single failure, back to an unconscious national feeling, search between black and indigenous, that's the 24 colonialism and global racial capitalism, global access to racial lines, wars, inclusive beliefs on the structural inequalities, social racism, gender, and international order, house and academics, and my early right, the sovereignty and imperial cogs, out of natural being the idea of universalizing the universalized condition was north, organization, slavery, reconciliation, when talking about black bodies, and not, and when it's getting the sense of plus, black, and civilized, eliminated, who's directly connected, eliminated, cities, social, and organization, races, sovereignty, usually constitute, hierarchy, shaping, how the president is also impossible to constitute, and use the race, even analyze it, deserving, we are 20 climate change, 70 line of the industry, political, crisis, attacking one of the trees, who's an average, the military invasions of our home, the more associated with you, the conversation, the stable, like conventional, like the society, frameworks are, they were not colonial races, social contracts, and having faith in white people's like government, solving climate change, grow optimism in the master schools, whenever this master's house code, 99 we believe that culture will right into their celebration, like the fact that the only words research and force people culture accept their scientific and ethical values, master schools, whenever this master's house and go, negative for a militant poetic pedagogy that rejects the one sees of white environments in favor of revolutionary letters that communicate direct action, geopolitical ecology that reviews this colonial, with the 5-minute Instagram and Carter 23, about to be boys, to be realized, to be loved, to be rolling, unless it's urgent, call it direct action, and that's what series is change over strategies and struggle, what is the commitment, and to the political ecology, and the energy state, economic crisis, critical turn in history, and innovation, blowing up the lines, most direct, alongside shorter reproduction, struggle, mutuated, indigenous resurgence, fast, engineering, charging, and periods of the work, repurposing what is up to cause, what is insurgent practicality, that conscious medicine, whose around the economic line, opportunities of reproduction, and the needs, all the calculation mode of attending to ways in which labor is mixed with the earth, undermine the conditions of the West world, the revolutionary letters, and give life to the military poetics of faith becomes a place in which view poetics and emergence forming vacant lost in the garden, practical, like practice of collectivist harmony, the 600 technical literacy, political, and material terrains offers dreaming garden and the record of the earth, militant, ecologies and tails, extension of political rights, and setting strategy and personal movements, sacrifice, exploration, purpose, and the restoration of soil, reclamation of soil and land, but also evidence, economics, require revolutionary action, this natural war, premise of capital, ongoing reviews of colonial combined, and forging a relation to the unattraction of the militant poetics, offers thresholds, breathing through struggle, ecology without class struggle is just starting, and only a research design that evaluates complete taxes of research through power ranking and connect regimes of violence and expand visions of the future world to consider power relations in and outside debate. Prime 24 power ranking is in and intricate decentralized has called the movements, rhetoric, and advanced visions of the future. So the organization decentralized power ranking is already taking place in a way to make sense of the movements, decentralized rhetoric, encompass ecosystems, reviews, top-down economies of wars, and the movement virginity, the critique would be possible, we are able to gather no over, on top of the version of the class, or practical, or pragmatic politics, only outside of the state, the representatives of the issue of the chance to be internal to the state, of the about all to disengage in honesty, when the movement of the Fiat actions return, we have to state none of the major social movements were given by policy action, state action is only caused by a lot of non-state action of Fiat races. Go to case now. Biodiversity won't lead to extinction, 600 experiments through has 19 of the planet's order, 96% of mass extinction life, so the other species make it the reserves aliens over 600 experiments of biodiversity, not sure collapse of it, we never reserve the critical level of biodiversity. The NEG turn, the yikes are examples come from the NEG, thus CSU, and their evidence is more about the depiction of those communities, not the people that are on the ground. Now the plantation sees turn, you are 100% greenwashing analysis warming, supports renewables, that is a double turn with the NEG and turns case, in which turns all their offense, God, this part is really long. Capitalist renewables increase emissions at the testify genocidal dispossession, strategy, and all 23 technical function and second business opportunities for remote RE development, and their erosions and indigenous territories, and settlement, land erosion, development, social racial conservation, cultural ecosystem, the size of Venice, fossil fuels, mining, energy, indigenous, colonial genocide, green routing, those genocide, implementation, RE takes on the place of indigenous lands, you want to disperse, very force, existing structure without addressing root causes, internalized military occupation, resources, control, and then specify power, and control by using RE in the name of disability projects, and then the illegal occupation of the work, weakness, self-determination, RE projects on new frontiers of greener activism. Their activists and view assign people blame to black and brown people and of climate change, which regards as black systems, domination, and warming, inevitable data, 19 and odd diseases, or the version of the war, and it's good to remain to the colonial era, the climate system, and the assessment shock, or the originating of the colonialism, labor, the activism should be outcome, race, related practices, which contribute to activism, industrialization, urbanization, capitalism, and racialized activism is not a product of human nature, but interrelated historical processes, like colonialism, and the same centering of differentiation, humanity, activism, also reproduce white supremacists, like the universal nonsense, epistemological, or nonsense, the academic process, the applications for how we might vision, just responses, global, ecological, and change of plantation, seen as position, percent racial capitalism, understanding environmental drawing, and social black ecologies. On the one see is an individualist form of greenwashing that's the same capitalism of powers corporations that ultimately may seize the set of illustrations of power market environmentalism, movements on board greenwashing, where you're attempting to use me, the company, the product, your environmentally friendly, while immediately reducing its environmental impact, greenwashing, while also seeking raising the value of green nutrition, linking, and token significant and relevant gestures towards sustainability, green buzzwords are imaginary, giving the impression of sustainability, misleading, and with this endorsements, a lack of evidence, back of green lands, use of offsetting our language, the honest greenwashing, and properly answering the common lexicon, in the general public.
Okay, you good?
Yeah, just put the card up.
Great. The cram evidence, I'm confused where you think this is evidence is a link. It's just, it does not say anything about whitewashing or forced activism.
Which card?
That's the third card. The 1AC is a form of friendly environmental activism. I'm confused where you think this says it's scapegoats.
So I got it. So the part on the bottom of the evidence says that any attempt to delegitimize bottom-up movements instead of like embracing like top-down movements with the use of G would be the same criminalizing.
So it's literally just like state identification of movements is bad.
It's more than that. Our argument is that the way that politics happen in the status quo is that when policymakers come to discussion of forests, that's what allows them to use people like who are organized for Cop Stop City as example of eco-terrorists, which is what allows for the crackdown and demonization of movements in the status quo, which we think is bad.
Okay.
Because our argument is that the way that the one is presented is what allows for a liberal form of convergence that always come at the cost of
the second Bruno card, it says that, quote, focus on black death, ignores black life. I'm confused why this is a binary question. Why focus on black death does not entail that. It's the second one. It's like the second.
Well, the storytelling or the over.
The second one. That's a specific line from the card. It ignores black life. I'm confused why this is a binary question, and that focus on black death does not entail focus on black death.
Yeah.
Our argument is that the way the one is presented black death as a means to the end, the centralization of the idea that black people are dying, i.e. vote for Kansas, is what allows for white people to create an attachment, a pornographic one to black people that all necessitates a constant feedback loop of black death without understanding how life is.
Let's back up here. I think you're making a lot of leaps and jumps here.
I think that's racist as fuck, actually.
How do you think
the idea that I made a claim about the way you presented blackness as a leap and a jump is exactly our link argument. You could always say that black people are focusing on X. As a demonization, we've called out your bad practice. That is racist.
That black death is bad in the violence perpetrated against communities.
That is racist. The idea that a black person has come to you and said you were being racist and you characterize that as a leap and a jump is our link argument about the way you presented blackness. That is racist. That's racist as fuck. Like, there's no denying.
That's fine.
No, it's not fucking fine.
Let's move on.
It's not fine. That's racist.
The alternative, poetic pedagogy, what does it entail?
It entails rejecting the AFF if we want a link that proves that you have, one, created racist ideology in debate, but secondly, if we want that you should trade it off with a more rational approach.
It says...
Really quick, that you've traded off with a more radical approach via power mapping, which is the cram method.
Okay, it says the lines, quote, urgent calls for direct action via
Yeah,
blowing
okay.
up petroleum
So it's like
lines, or those
the
things
alternative functions like on the level of epistemology and pedagogy, which is the power mapping stuff, but also the second part is like endorsing movements for abolition ecology, and we think the uniqueness of Cop City proves that we should align ourselves with those movements to actually
align
organize
with
for radical
movements. It also
strategies.
says things like mutual aid, etc. Are those things the alternative defense?
Our argument is that, well, it's not the alternative mutual aid because
Yeah.
voting for either team doesn't actualize the practice, which is our argument.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Stock prep, 343 used, so 617 left. Let me send this out.
What do you think is happening to sense?
I'm also sending you cards, so I'm just gonna save that. Here, you want me just to send it? I sent my single card.
And then I sent the rest.
and then the critique. I'm good. Then you good.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone's good? Great. 1 NC1 gas biodiversity loss causes extinction. Defense of 250 million years ago does not assume human nature connectedness or reliance on biodiversity. There is no chance for species to adapt to the status quo. Because of rapid emissions, loss causes extinction, crop yield, medicine, nutrient cycle, pollination, all depend on biodiversity collapse. That causes disease, food shortages, and extreme weather. That's the user geotone and person evidence. They drop warming causes extinction and not say extreme heat. So much deterioration that desertifications are taking points making the earth uninhabitable. The impact is going to be each threshold of emissions reduction dramatically decrease the likelihood of extinction. That's the line is evidence 1 to C3. The term is not unique. We are switching towards renewables now. We've got biomass, which is labeled as renewable in the status quo, but it's not a link because no evidence that the affirmative increase to transition towards renewables in the US. It does not use the biomass we all export into the UK. It does not assign equal blame to black and brown people. The affirmative places explicit blame of biomass giants like Draxa and Aviva. Greenwashing is a description of the status quo. It is why biomass giants claim that they are promoting renewable energy and solving climate change. Combating that is feature rejecting greenwashing. They have not read a link to the status quo or to the affirmative, and every renewable criticism is wrongly causing propaganda to disguise Raubi and 1122 that mining and waste injustice and degradation is facing around the resolution of and most of the materials useful to be recovered with the end of service like the green mining and recovered again. Prototype green development numbers later opportunities exist to make low carbon and more adjusted and 100% peer reviews documented solutions that are regards positive business state of the overall energy order is lower used is orders lower. There is no fossil liquid and 90% come from in electricity and analysis of impact reductions and impacts of in all cases recycling saves of water and materials water reducing toxicity recycling needs to be built for the industry but in the past it's so quick their reaction against the check myself in energy impact it takes 0.6 years of particular 90% of the cost of storage to continue 100% or even enable dispatchable hydro value energy and connection of storage and recurrent or system places concept and controlling the fluctuation cavity truck manufacturers and transfer reduction of batteries applies up to 30 years or second batteries release of problem does not start to scale of industry start as a general solution more efficient method of information becoming attacking so industry. Biomass creates marine sacrifice zones. Biomass plants are decided to predominantly the communities of color who disproportionately bear the brunt of their emissions civilians, which are 3 times worse than any other energy sector. The government is prioritizing British companies' profits over the lives of black Haitians and Latino people in the South. In Carolina, only the affirmative is able to solve it. 1. The industry is unprofitable and solely kept afloat via subsidies, and 2. Revoking subsidies delegitimizes the industry and ensures its collapse. Only C2. Our evidence does say NAACP, but also reads a slew of evidence. We also read a slew of evidence that cites communities and public hearings where residents have explicitly said that they oppose biomass plants and advocate for the affirmative. The K framework. Our determinations that outlets a referendum on the habitatable consequences of the plan, the exposed feature of the plan's implementation, and there must be in all the costly solves our harms. With the inclusion of the plan for including that solves each net benefits. 1. Fairness, you link, you lose, and moving the one he brings the game for the negative. Reading research is very shifting the nexus of debate in terms of any net benefit to the game, only the balance opposite. 2. Clash, comparing opportunity costs. It creates arguments to differ from an alternatives in return defense and offense. And this is prerequisite making their offense portable. Fiat is good. It allows for imagining future scenarios of action we ought to take evaluating the ethical consequences of that action. A model without fiat results in questions would rather than should, where it is turned into would X politician actually support the plan. Those are horrible and make the negative win rate 100%. K proper permutation to both IV all can overcome links to the status quo or it links to the plan or it's overwhelmed by the status quo. No links. We turned them any subsidies for forest biomass is critical as a black links with racial caps and for 22 black. Force solutions are about interconnectedness and relying on the force to continue unidentified perception with the 100% of black limitedness with the racial caps and continue regional plantation by benefits by the black. The common sense of the power to sustain human release of the device we can with what wins it occurs that calls for reducing that things alternatives a way of reducing the case against the past of the destruction of racial plans and movement slavery and within this temporary interpreted more than the propagation of the plantation, of course, is parallel ecological threats that come from the home place. A regional plan begins with the compound effects of going biomass energy free with the international plantation relation with more sophisticated and political relation to government increase made for biomass. Attract timber plantation, these plants are looking at black communities that they come out here to the same of the biomass scale from the base reduction. Leave communities more vulnerable to tax pollution and punishment with fewer resources. Fewer resources to live. The first piece of cram evidence, it is wrong. Racial capitalism is wrong. The relationship is conditioned. Even if the two systems have coincided, go 21 of racial capitalism only contingent capitalism proceeds without racial capitalism. Without racial differences, there's racial differences, global scale condition, although it's majority works are not, but it's not racial capitalism, but gender capitalism, that racism necessity capitalism would forever with the capital not appears under the argument of racism necessary because capitalism requires racist ideology to find the work classes functional as the same possible to functional. The substitution there is nothing inherent in the capital third cardinals and race to be. The division of pot prescribing that connection to U.S. century charming the K goes 21 examples such as Russian ton of work evidence not relying on racial difference but of ethnic and religious difference representation of culture, of protection of racial economics, and limited advancement, analytic, and comparing to the CSU, and the brings its own complicated compares the nature of racial, a reason why which the U.S. scholars and the U.S. century classification for the rest of the world, the racial classification would might not be operating a racial conflict would refer mainly to the black population, which is the most virulent racism, the resolution of substitution reduces scope of racial capitalism, and racial capitalism would no longer interdict the global system. The second piece of evidence is a perm card. It says that we should stop cop city and it resonates with environmental organizing like the affirmative. The third piece of evidence is not a link to the app. You have to give justification for land clearing. The SWO is land clearing of black indigenous communities. They drop that out of the 1AC. The app is not a build public green spaces. It is in subsidies for biomass. They do not come into the 1AC. The first piece of evidence, the evidence of the response of black should not just be to find modalities of life within violence. It should also be to stop the violence in the first place. The permutation certainly solves it. You have not read a piece of evidence that says that there's a straight up when you've read a link turn in the 2AC. The second piece of evidence, no, like the app doesn't say environmental justice communities must approve disproportionate burden. It just says that we should stop biomass giants. The case piece of evidence, no, like the affirmative is not hedge good, it stops exporting biomass, which solves the link, and we impact turned it above with the go. Evidence of Bartolo's evidence is not a link, it's not a link. We don't say movements are bad. The code piece of evidence, no reason that the state cannot be used. The evidence is worthless. We have hyper-specific evidence in the context of the 1AC, which should be the threshold. Now, the Agatha Angel evidence, the assertions that there are found instructions undergirding the IR mystifies meaningful analysis of the world. Murray 19 Tennessee, the IR, to correct your system is not a solution to the power of limitation from that Western, is the same category producing that identification of inquiry that is reproduces hierarchical and hero and pattern of the empire, enabling a generatory difference in calculation of power with the West Office uses and ecosystem, not Western path, but the adding Robert representation will never deliver a post imperial IR orientation, not Western to the Western with a service the ancients of the least with an imperial order for the epicenter division, not even reflection of an actual ecosystem reality, but a process of representation of a phenomena, and never advocate a reification of a difference of the ancient imperial strategy. He did not advocate an apologize and difference of acknowledgement of races to the independence of basis for a political formation of academia links or reduction of a difference in a leisure reduction of groups for the worst practice or contributions of anyone to be outside of these with the not Western surface as soon as second committed blackness, not a generalizable perspective from the question between knowledge and right pay attention to this was sensitivity relation to academia links aspects of the nose and highlights sense conjugate black body areas of her letter observe these of that they were black and white ideas which can be mapped onto green that is embeddable to the purpose of the hero ordering and grades and services divide rather than building a general things structurally carbonized divide and the scholar should not reproduce or perhaps the slide realities and inside of promoting identification with life and if it is limited to towards different categories which emphasize interaction connection processes. No inevitable farmer crisis using politics to redress those externalities avoids unsustainability from all 17 world. It seems broken financial crisis, inequality, policies, climate reasons, all right. A fashion thing was with a government scene. Ill code to begin engaging nations and the theme is about the research as it struggles against the limits of opportunity for once again in start with these writings to avoid abstract using the refuse of the promoter and butter from the controversial research of the piece of the age of projects based on readers often miss the political process of the in order to build a modern human engagement and pragmatic orientation in some of the commitment to a political imagination and politics and the degree make them more regards to the future that might have been the refusal to retreat from humanity. It makes it possible to maintain positive reputation and just remain sound of a lawful in this world covenant. To all of us, the research design of competing tactics is bad. The prime evidence says that it's constructive for translocal movements and not that it's sufficient to mobilize those movements in the face of racial conflict. Affirming it, but we should build an organized movement does not entail success of those movements or a telos to their goals. I will send these two cards out after the speech. Link turn forward biometry devastates indigenous communities from Ramirez and Cross 24 and before. Administrative routines roots and colors of data as indigenous knowledge and stewardship of the active racial indigenous communities and the roots of the management. Activities to extract wood, pellet, biomass, and that would help to protect forest ecosystem headers and your communities as a forest biomass energy. The cruel optimism links to the alt more than the app. The government is the one sanctioning woody biomass subsidies and violence that reigns, so demanding the change is the only solution to the alternative that just a violent insurgency which empirically fails. Go to the alternative now. It fails. It cannot solve global emissions. Time and royals from with large economic communities for every person and for anything in the cause of myth and avoiding advantage or even having the image of the result of the combination of the economic weather China and economic image of the piece of will rise and it has zero support causes fashions, fractions, masturbation, all without stopping warming, Wolf 23, anti-capital revolution, and no particular society change of power would only be a viable dictator that was real states was growth and takes these emissions would follow away or within the window and not stop implementing energy to eliminate all energy completely better would cover reverse the wall of water and well being able to close within the industrial form of undernourishment is our reason for the over century population or institution a failed 10% radical alternative to so the solution become only from tactical limitations with short time control and whatever and no what is it everyone's happening or everybody's had from markets just and sent to Russia has turned out a more better representing from the way millions were given what we must be faster to the carbon ego human is a solution. The alt do you have another purpose?
Do you okay.
Okay then.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put that first.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. The alt causes transition wars and warming, spends time dismantling an entire economic system which has an arm conflict every day. A major political, people, even social splits or weekend and limitations on also uses for military efforts. The force led for kind of environmental degradation, which not have a separate it's just fair, and the government would crack down to more 16 tactical choices from never breaking the sign of armed opposition. The woman has changed. If you could values made as speak still, the world of advocating strong and plus form of navigation is capital selection, receiving revolution, activities, and this is in 1960 that attack powers lowers the odds of armed revolution is here. Let me set up these three parts so fast. they were sent.
Okay. Why you sort of
Oh.
I'm just opening. Okay, I know that. Alright, not that. I got that. Okay, cool. I'll just start real quick. Any direct reading for Jefferson?
Nope.
Cool. You got it.
Alright, cool. Are you part of the Black Commons?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Okay, no, hold on. That's fine. You're not part of the Black Commons. Looks like you don't get this link turn because it's about the Black Commons.
Well, I
No,
disagree.
no,
The
you're
peripheral
fine.
evidence is like the Black Commons is forms of social relations within Black Forests. I do not live within the forest
So
area.
what
But
communities
you made an argument about why the AFF is vital to the communities.
so what communities are in the forest?
I think the one you see gives 3 different examples. One in Stockton, California. One in
You're
one
naming
in
okay.
South
The
Carolina,
problem
and
that
one-
you're naming cities. Cities are not communities.
Yes.
Who are the communities?
I don't know what you mean, like the communities.
You
It's
just
not
said
a label for
You
them.
said
There are
communities living
people-
in the. You said
Yes,
communities.
there are
Wait.
people living in
Can I
forests.
please ask you a question? You said communities living in the forest. Stockton is not a forest. It is a city. What communities are living in the forest?
I don't know what you mean by communities.
You
People
said
live
that.
in
You
forests.
said that. You said living in the forest.
Yes.
So
People
who
live-
are the people? You know what? We are. It's fine.
There's not like a
It's
label
fine.
for communities or people that live in forests.
What?
There are people that live in
No,
forests that are
it's okay.
impacted by the
Alright,
timber industry.
It's fine.
and the African
It's fine. It seems like you don't get this link turn anymore. But I guess like the
disagree.
other argument, right, on case, right? I guess like the warrant for like why the app doesn't greenwash, like what's the warrant for that, or is it just like it's the status quo?
Well, it's 2 things. One, you've not read a link that says the app greenwashes. 2, the greenwashing is a description of the status quo that the app tries to combat. That currently, both the US and Europe label biomass as a renewable energy as a way to sort of increase emissions while greenwashing
that
the
makes sense.
industry.
Should teams have to defend their authors and what they say?
Depends on the context, probably.
So like if your
Our
author
framework
says, if your author
interpretation says that we should be held to the
No,
consequences
hold
of
on. If your author is like, yo, renewables could probably be good, and black people don't agree with that, which is what your evidence says, should you not be held accountable?
we would definitely not defend those parts of the argument. That
What
those
does that mean?
that we could like
Is this a
reject.
yes or no question?
I think those authors could be rejected. The arguments that they're making could be rejected. But as a team, we should not be rejected for that.
Why?
Like that requires us to go through and do extensive research over every position that every author has done.
Oh, so
Go
you
through
want to
every
research
tweet that
about
they've
your
ever said,
authors
do
and your
research
communities?
on the individual words that they use, which is a massive burden for any.
How is it a massive burden? It's about the idea. It's not even individual
Well,
words.
it's not, the argument is not like, here's a specific example, that is not the burden. The argument is that the justification for what we would have to research is a burden. The fact that we'd have to look at every single 1AC author, every single 2AC author, every author in our blogs, figure out what they've done in their personal lives, where they work, what they said on Twitter, who they are friends with on Facebook, etc. Those are all justified under defending things your author has done, which is bad.
Okay. I guess that's the only justification. Alright, cool. Cross.
Did you reach everything that's in this document?
On me.
Wait, I'm pausing time for this. Did you read everything in the document? Did you read this like broke as inevitable stuff?
Oh, not the
Can
sustainable.
we get a marked doc, please?
Sure.
Before we do that, because I didn't not answer shit.
I think it was actually just the same thing card.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
this one's brand.
So just wait, is the rank part of the what?
Just the
Just rank part?
Yeah.
Cool. Regional card. Okay, cool.
It was like 620 or something, right? Does that feel right?
Yeah.
I feel really
it's
bad
just-
for that. I'm sorry. I should put this down. Let's just put 620. You have 8%.
I just need to send a couple cards, but they're gonna be in the body.
Okay. Do you mind if I just take a second to copy paste mine?
Yeah, you're telling. Actually, I'm just gonna make a new document for it because it's like 4 cards.
Yeah,
Be right.
that's like pretty much my line.
Okay, cool.
Four, it's
Cool.
like,
Yeah, I was thinking like 4, and I was like, nah, that's too much.
Jacob Smith from Oklahoma once I was judging, and he sent like 7 in the body of the ego. I was like, this is
That's
unacceptable.
that's so terrible.
I think the biggest troll you can do is just copy paste your entire tweets down and just put it in the body and be like, good luck.
Why would you do this? It's
It'd be
literally
even funny if you did with like analytics and everything too, and like your flow. So just the entire speech in the body. You're like, have fun scrolling.
Go ahead and split in that tiny font for me.
Screen.
Before I send, I'm gonna get some more.
even boldface lied to me too. He was like, is it cool if I send them in the body email? It's like, is it a live card? And he's like, no. And then
And it is 7 cards.
I was like, yeah.
Were they like short cards too, or were they like giant like
They were,
pieces
like-
cards too?
They were moderately short, but it was still more text than I think is acceptable.
You big investor with your Robinhood email over here? No. No. They didn't ask us the question, we spent 15 minutes brainstorming an answer to. Yeah. I don't know. I really hope lunch is got like actual nutrition. I just remember last year it was so bad. It's like the
I
weird-
really only remember one meal,
It was like
but that was the one that didn't.
the weird
it was like had
sliders.
peanuts everywhere.
Yeah. They did have like full sandwiches for breakfast, so it's looking promising the food might be like have nutrition. We shall have.
Actually, I'll just take a quick second break. Alright, yeah, 7:30.
It's at 7:30.
Actually, sent. It's just okay.
Is it just straight down? Is there an overview or anything?
There's an overview. It's not that long.
I might just do that section here.
It's fine. Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay.
TJ, your role is to stay militant in the face of white supremacy. Anything else just fine. Violent form of epistemology, forms of violence that maintain ideological destruction, turning creation, causing cerebral palsy, failure. Now, I will do the line on the extinction and rhetoric stuff because they're blatantly bad. The first argument that we misfire IR, not true. Our argument that are more complex understanding of IR and more malevolent when we have conversations about how indigenous people and black people are subjected to violence, which is all they're wanting. See evidence, we should hold the line. They say, no, that will permanent crisis, that's our argument. Only alternative can solve it through making better research models. The next argument is that no racial capitalism this day. Double turn with all their arguments because they've said that the reason why black people face violence in the status quo is because markets want to sell biomass to the EU to create money off the backs of black and brown people, which they perform no contradiction, reason the team. Now, framework, skip it, it'll be in the one that I will do the permutation. Framing issue is that they had one line in the permutation and not explain how it's on any of the critique on the ad. I mean, they reject any new whatever answers now. They do not get the permutation. One, it's a counterinsurgency this ad. The permutation has called, the app is called, the alternative has called to reject state-based logic that always the law down and reform politics that always turn revolution to pacification. We've called for the end of the app, random racial capitalism, which is incompatible with state action because they literally said in the tweet, see that racial capitalism is bad analytically, that you should reject the attempt to rejoin yourself with their law is not just used for radical form of eco politics, but rather transform debate and judge it into a state that makes racial capitalism inevitable. Second, severance is a voting issue and a reason to reject the team and makes more of activism through bad revolutionary tactics, conviction impossible to negate, and also comes from a white fluidity that she's debated to be complicit activists in trade developing tactics for wins over debate of color. Next, is to co-option this out of permutation failed. It seems to crack down on protests are evident by the reading of a card that literally says, quote, in F-15, we have it, you know, it proves that the permutation uses as a means of genocidal action that pacify resistance by locking up movements that are too radical. Only alternative solved by forcing the state to bear the consequences of their action. They killed the reform, they killed the war, which is a co-option this out. That's Marquez 24, the U.S. arrested more than 111 protesters briefly personally advocating for the end of the organization, passing every defense of the masses, organizing the nations, ability and competence, fighting down conflict, and imminent reinvention with impunity, weaponized against profit, bodybuilding, and politics, rebuilding from Brody, the constantly free propaganda back, imperial maintaining the interest. And 5, the specialization this out. The perm tries to employ a twist of post in black environmental justice, struggling with climate activism to extract within the justified passivity that the states of Bruno, 24 engaged traditional approach, living back to good dying spectacle activism, but to isolate and delegate the limits possibly knowing about it to be cautious. People patient and escape the death and buried the and ends line notion of black lives respect by happening limited and labor innocent and the country of life like the person not employ his work or each became black communities and the state. The link debate go to now. First will be the scapegoating link to 1EC, the form of environmental friendly activism that results in the scapegoating of radical force activists and gives justification and clearing to make ways for more cop city that only alternatively be solved. That's Prem 24 evidence they say. It says that the Prem says that when government drawing active governments frame the acting as a mention of a form of environmental friendly activism and group protectionism is only an attempt to draw in activists to crack down upon them, set up the newest stage of the geopolitical policing complex that creates more cop cities, i.e. every time the U.S. says that cop city is a new environmental friendly project, our argument is that justifying those lines to the state will allow for more increases of militarization, which uniquely worsens climate change because military expeditions are the number one cause of climate change in the United States. So that both of the permacrisis the purposes of that both of the permacrisis argument and makes more environmental activists now. They say subsidies cause violence to black people. I did not send every highlight, but I'll send it after the speech. Link term evidence prove that when black forest land owners will be hurt the most by the plant and doesn't make any solve. Prove that they distorted the voices of black people not advocating for it will be the re-highlight I send later. Now the next one will be the biological death link. Extend the brutal evidence they incentivize use of black suffering in order to galvanize state-based solutions, even though they don't solve for the people because obviously voting Africans does not help the people in something they cannot name. As a form of core optimism and investment of hope that only leads to those people still being disavowed. They never get the benefits for what Kansas is advocating for or voting for them. This is the use of pornotroping and activism and only use of justification for state solutions that never solve their problem. Those community voices get crowded out by experts who weaponize against driver activists like people who are advocating for Stop Cop City as a way to commodify, pacify, struggle, and brutal evidence that says that when emphasis on black life with little attention to black life, i.e. the way Kansas has not represented anything about how these people live, reinforces the large biocentric conception of black people and biocentric positions, people as pure biological being, i.e. the way they can only see these people as a reason to win, but never a reason to insert or research their actual lives, feel that they create the conditions for black dying black bodies now. This is proof when they use examples of Stockton community suffering, but never mention Lila Manina Rising Group, who are in that Stockton who've advocated for the ending of biomass subsidy. Kansas love to commodify their work, but hate to research them enough to mention their names and the projects they do would prove that it is false. Now, this is proof in consequence. Jacob says, quote, we should attend to the needs of black people suffering in the status quo, but in response to me with saying, you are exaggerating when you call me anti-black for calling it out, would prove that they create an infinite feedback loop of blackness that actually do not care about people. They say we are a trans local movement. Obviously, you're not a trans local movement because you use the state, but secondly, you have an entity who wants to do the average proof that you will get access to the link term. They say indigenous movements are good. Obviously, not the plan. The card did not list any indigenous activists, which means that you should essentially hold the line for our argument arguments now. I will make cross-checks really clear. I will mention why the Rosa Parks example is relevant. Their evidence defends the NAACP, who advocate for the plan, which they're wanting to see evidence now. NAACP has historically been anti-gay, anti-trans. They've been professionalized the understanding of black activism. They are violent, not proper understanding of blackness. The NAACP went to legal strategy and they failed. And all the people who are backed up by Thurgood Marshall and W.E. Du Bois proof that they are the black elite who only get access to the plan by living in suburbs and profit off of black death. This is proof when Jacob says Rosa Parks was influential because the Bully Cock Blood movement, but then says, but it's proof when said that Rosa Parks was a face civil rights movement and said, but do not talk about how Claudia Coven was the actual person who was on the bus to prove that they mystified and Rachel revisionized the way that the civil rights movement worked, and they only chose Rosa Parks because she was lighter than her, which proves that they are from neoliberalism. That is bad. Now they are the least group who are the black people who are being a part of the same group that demonized BLM and Stop Cop Kidding for being too radical, which proves offense on the permutation as competition. But the next argument is that you should reject any use of the NAACP on Facebook because it recreates violence for the anti-black. They say racial capitalism is wrong. It's a double term with stuff we did above. You cannot say that biomass causes black death, but then say that racial capitalism is bad. And they say we are U.S.-centric. Our argument is not about global racial capitalism, but rather how the U.S. and white people use black indigenous death to formulate extra perm prices. They say that AFF Stop Cop City. They say that AFF Stop Cop City. It does not. It says that when politicians use bottom-up organizing as a way to demonize and crack down on protesters, which is what you have done in the 2AC. Our argument is that enabling the U.S. to justify their coloniality by removing the plan only increases violence. The next link I'm going to go for it is the master's tool link. You can extend the Cohen and James George evidence that says that master's tools will never be on the master's house. Now I will read and show like a couple highlighting that will be damning for them. One, biomass is a filler for fossil fuels, which is when you see polar evidence or evidence. And when you see also speculative, it's not tested, it's quantified in small amounts, and it's a concept of Germany, not the US or the EU, which I really sort of highlight above. Now the plan is diverse exports from biomass fossil fuels, turning case only by rejecting state violence and around to solve. I'm not going to read the card, but it's pretty damning. And the reason that you can reject them, maybe if Daniel has time, I'll read it in the webinar. Now, fossil fuels are bad, obviously, for the reason I did above, but I will go to the alternative debate now. One, the alternative is for rejecting AFF in favor of militant pedagogy, functionally conceding the AFF on the theoretical level makes it a TKO for us because it solves the entirety of the AFF. Now, is it radical rejection of the lazy in favor of creating urgent calls to action that embrace revolutionary struggle, that call for abolition and slavery and colonization, which acts as a commitment to supporting movements on the ground to strengthen revolutionary movement building. This means that you should engage in acts of sabotage outside this round, dismantle the police, etc., which creates a form of collective autonomy, really negative, acts as a revolutionary love letter to those movements on the ground, and signals a revolutionary praxis, really in power mapping, and said that you will not stand for candidates polyantroping the lives of black people without actually providing any material substance for them, or you reject candidates for wanting to talk about black people and their death, but never wanting to talk about their life, which recreates an infinite feedback loop of black death. Your role as a white person is to uniquely reject any usage of black polyantropy, because our argument is that when you do that, it turns black people in from people to bodies to numbers, which is what creates the parasitic want for black flesh in the status quo, and only recreates more anti-black violence. It is an ethical a priori because our argument is that voting for candidates in the states is not actualizing their demands, only signals the best research progress, meaning that if we win a link that they've trivialized black suffering, you should instantly reject them. I will answer the stuff here. They say cruel optimism turn, obviously not true, because you're more cruel optimism by assuming talking about the plan in this space will act like movement, but then you don't even give a fuck to research about them in the first place, which is more cruel optimism for those people, not for people in this round. They say they cannot solve emissions, does not have to. But our argument is that we should reject all forms of environmental racism to be able to create those practices in the first place, which solve link debate above. They say it causes fascist crackdowns. You are the fascist. That's trend. It says that bottom-up grassroots movements get cracked down upon by state policies like the AFF. We prove the link argument. Last argument is transition wars. Don't have to answer because argument is about pedagogy.
Before we start, the two cards you read on the permutation weren't synced.
Oh, they weren't?
Yeah, because there was a Bruno card and then I didn't catch the first one. They read as the card before.
I'll send it right now. Okay.
I'm actually going to send 3 cards and 3 highlights, so it doesn't meet the threshold for too many cards.
Wait.
I just beat the limit. Okay, it's sent.
Just give me a second. I'm going to copy paste it to the doc as well. Okay, let me copy paste those. Okay. Okay. Here's your comments. Yeah. At the very top, what's the performative contradiction?
You read a card that says racial capitalism is bad analytic, but your entire AFF is about how racial capitalism sort of justifies the selling of biomass at the expense of black population, which is inherently a racial capitalist analytic. Like, you do not get the 30 words cave because your argument in the card is about the way it's analyzed. Our argument is that the ONC did that analysis, but then went back and said just because we said the word racial capitalism is not a bad analytic. That is a perfcon performative research.
I don't think that's what the evidence says.
So explain to me why it's not.
The permutation, what does it say?
Okay, cool. We said reject the app. We said vote negative. You can't vote negative.
Well, why is the pedagogy of the alternative incompatible with the U.S. ending subsidies for biomass?
That's how links work. I'm confused by the question.
Like, why can we not affirm?
Because our argument is that one, the links on the critique, but also your performance justifies no permutation.
I get
because
our links argument. I'm
well,
more confused about like as a
that's
method.
how terms work. You don't get terms if you want a link argument.
Why is militant pedagogy incompatible?
Because you're
with
not
ending
militant.
subsidies?
You're like two white kids from Kansas who love talking about black people in front of other black people. It's like we had this debate at Professor. We were like, oh, you should keep reading for black people, and then you're like, oh, we're gonna go back to farm pricing. Like,
okay, well that's just because classes were hard for me and I didn't do research. The permutation, how does it?
So why do you read it
crackdowns?
against us in this round then?
Because, well, like, we can make these arguments in speeches, but
No, but like
okay, two reasons. One,
Sure.
I think you're a very good team. This affirmative
you debated a
it
lot of good
clashes with a lot of things that you have said.
You
in the
debated a
past
lot of
that's
good
helpful.
teams.
And then
We're
second
not the only
is,
team-
I think I need to do more research.
We're not
for
the
this
only
app that I've
we're
just
not the only
done
team
in the
who's
past
debated
month.
on the NEG though. I'm confused.
Since we broke it, yeah.
That's not true. You had a whole tournament. You tell me you didn't hit one
we
case.
just, yeah.
That's probably not true, but okay.
It is.
Yeah.
The permutation,
Sure.
how does it encourage crackdowns? I get the like we said
Your
don't cause
rhetoric-
crackdowns, but why?
So
does
this is
that-
going to be very important, okay? Instead of trying to affirm a part of the alternative, they said, well, you're going to get F5. That is our argument about how you never want to seek radical moves to the state, but you're rather devolve down into politics that benefit white people. I.e., we're not going to say, here's how the link term solves revolutionary organizing. You said, well, fuck the alternative because it's going to get cracked down upon.
Like,
That's
obviously-
proof that you have not devoted yourself to revolutionary organizing, because our argument is that status quo, people in Stop Cop City are literally dying to protect the environment, which is something you're not willing to do because your argument is like, fuck the alternative, F5. Like, that is a performative reason why the alternative, like the permutation is bad.
Okay,
And plus,
so,
like,
so to go
2AC
for a permutation or link term, we can't contest.
well, the
all
other
parts
thing is
of
like the
argument.
2AC said one line in the perm and then didn't explain it. So it's like I don't think you get access to like new perm arguments.
I want to go back to the Cop City arguments.
Yes.
How does the app legitimize them?
Our argument is that top-down organizing in politics is what allows for the demonization of people in Stop Cop City, which is what justifies crackdown. I.e., you reading a piece of evidence that says the alternative is bad because we're gonna F5 you. Like,
Why is that like top-down organizing key? I don't know why.
because
that's
your
important.
answer to the alternative is don't do the alternative because it gets cracked down upon. I'm confused.
Yeah, it's just two cards in the body, but yeah, it'll just be a framework and then case.
Send it to me too, please.
I flowed the case stuff. How you fit it into the two ACs? Should I do advantage 1, advantage 2, or how do you?
I'll sign this.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Now you're good.
Yeah.
We made it harder on you. So.
Okay, I'll send out the cards in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, let me know when you are.
You send it to me.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna try paste those into a doc again.
statement reject the team. Kansas should not be able to talk about black people in debates without doing the research to justify a couple reasons why they specify names, communities, and the organizations you endorse. If you can't, that proves your that proves your failing investments into anti-blackness, which is a violent investment, and B, no IPR approval use of voices outside academic spaces for on-the-ground voices is a voting issue. IPR is the process of academia to make sure you are not exploiting them, and they did not do those things in the way those voices should. And never speak unless granted permission. Those communities do not know how Kansas is using their voices within this space, which means white people can be narrators of black violence despite not being on the same ontological terrain as them, which means there will be no investments are always one that are filling, and see the threshold is massive. Cross-sex was embarrassing, and they conceded that they weren't part of the black commons. Every contradiction in every moment, especially that moment where they had with Curtis that said that Curtis is obviously jumping from jumping from square one to square 1 million, is the example of gaslighting, how Kansas has used that as an example to obviously disavow the critical scholarship that Curtis has introduced within this round to critique Kansas, which means that they have disavowed black communities within this space. The affirmative does not get any good faith implementation or fiat. Multiple reasons why their model's worse. Fiat is worse. That's the Trevor evidence that goes conceded. It's an academic view from nowhere that disavows the ways in which power operates, because the state action requires positions of privilege and power that can never be resolved through state action, because those proximities of power and privilege are required for the benefits of activism and skills under their model that causes psychologically violent investments into the system, because black and brown people can never access those systems because of those proximities of power that prevent them from actually doing things in the real world, which means that bottom-up investments are better through power mapping. And B, a ballot proximity. The ballot can only act as a tool to evaluate whether our political imaginations are valuable or not if when it gets actualized, and reject the team for new 2AC framework interpretation and assess the debate and an ideological terrain of antagonism that always sets the ground to dispose of black and brown critical argumentation, causing psychological violence and burnout that creates an infinitely regressive feedback loop, because now we follow their model and we're reading it on the negative, we're reading it their interpretation still moves to critique in bad faith, which prevents solutions to climate change because they run a framework and prefer a model debate coupled that benefits radical skills. Debate centering competing practices and pedagogies are good. It creates activism. People like David Love, who created LBS and Belinda Montes, opening up immigration firms that traverses racist institutions, which means that our radical skills are better for revolutionary testing that centers a competitive incentives around black and brown liberation that creates the best subject formation, because we spend way more time here prepping than our school, family, and friends in this same. No subject formation is the same. Is a paradox because they're ideologically aligned with arguments that have created their own subject formations. It's paradoxical, and our argument and our net benefits link turn clash and proves our competition is better, but their model trades off because that was the top-down politics stuff. You can cross-apply from the 2 and see here. Fairness, no fairness, paradox. Fairness is better under our model that centers black and brown liberation. It's a liberatory fairness and B, systemic justification. This other models of fairness reinforce the status quo of unfairness. Just it out. The 15 people choose the feelings of systems, disorder, justice, maintain the world as a lover, but also fairness. Just by the status quo, those who deserve this part of their own failures, justification is after the status quo more fair than actually is ideological. Unless the processing just by inequality and clash of German climate politics. That's how their model debated. They want is a call to respond, a call to response to warming that ideologically prioritizes the market over the lives of the most marginalized, that severs our relation to nature and locks in emissions and every reason and standard we have proved why their model debate is bad. Impact turns the clash they want because their clash always centers filling investments around blackness, and they said research and predictability. No, them determining what is and isn't predictable is arbitrary and self-serving that weaponizes the norms of this space to exclude the black and brown critical argumentation that makes solutions warming impossible because it leaves black and brown people in the back burner, which turns case. Go to case now. Bio D, no extinction, 600 experiments through, which means you should prefer our evidence because even at a 96% of extinction rate, we can come back to our evidence doesn't assume our experience. Climate change is bad, but it's not the end all be all. That's Bailey 22. The new city covers the worst case climate scenarios, unlikely your future to be warming, like disaster, lack of casualties, so their predictions were, and the right scenario, which emissions would reduce carbon to 1,400 ppm, and the likelihood of emissions rate, high emissions, low loss of use, fairly life for the next 20 years, global economies and life, how they like emissions, pathways, the worst outcomes, global consumption, all possible scenarios, emissions less than 3 degrees, we can use on the climate. The author's argument, I'll preempt it here for the 1AR. Kansas does not care about black people. If they did, they would have researched their authors contradicting the demands of black people. They have endorsed on the ground movements. Them saying it burdens them is a ruse that mystifies their positions of power they have within this space, because this is an example of how white people like Kansas just care about the win because they have not aligned themselves with the communities that they have endorsed, especially when they have said competition over codes, clash, and everything in debate. And you read this out in Northwestern, which means that you had time to research, but chose to remain complicit, which is a framing issue on framework as well. The plantation has seen turn go to it now. Their answers were literally jokes in the 2AC that their AFF evidence is literally greenwashing and supports renewables. They brushed it off with no links, hold them to it because they did not definitely see the highlights of their evidence that proves our offense, which was in the 1 and C. Their anthropocentric view of climate change reinscribes anti-blackness as system domination that makes warming inevitable. That's the Davies et al. In 19 evidence and Williams 24 evidence. They have conceded that anthropocentric views of the world cause more climate change since it mystifies the history of racial capitalism that causes more climate change and blames indigenous and black people for climate change through a universalizing analytic of assigning blame. Their re-highlight literally says a universalizing rhetoric is good and assumes that humans are the ones that are doing everything. It assumes humans writ large. It's TJ. Go read the re-highlight. The link is true, and they are the status quo of individualist greenwashing that sustains green capitalism and power of corporations that ultimately maintains the status quo and turns case reshuffle and then go back and create new greenwashing politics as a form of interest conversions, which was the 2NC arguments, and that should be a filter as to how you see all of their arguments and all of their no link arguments and link turn arguments, because they are definitely not part of the black comments, which means that capitalist renewables will increase emissions and intensify genocidal dispossession. That's the jogging and L23 evidence. Also, Cold conceded they cause more warming because their authors contradict the values of black communities on the ground now, and then supporting renewables is counterinsurgency that encourages extractivism and climate change, that makes black life worse and sustains new forms of interest convergence that's worse than fossil fuels in the newer age of renewables. This is not the status quo. The re-highlight is embarrassing and proves that all of our links are not to the status quo. They're not non-unique because their in-round performance and the re-highlighting also prove that they also disavow black lives.
620.
121. I'm gonna write that down so I don't actually forget it this time. There's no cards. It's case, then K with the overview quickly up top, then framework, then the K mark.
So framework.
Yeah. So I'm answering the
Oh,
like.
right on top. Okay.
Yeah. Well, overview stuff first, like answering the like first consider policy failure thing, then framework, then going straight to the part.
Okay.
Let me.
One second. Okay.
Okay. Let me get my windows. Sorry, I did that wrong. Okay.
Biodiversity causes extinction of defenses about impairs, drop that doesn't assume human connectedness, that makes an extinction likely, drop the reduction of climate change key to avoid a tipping point that causes extinction. This is the best it is that scientists in Canada will be lost in extinction due to the influence that tipping points make, or that have the most linear e-special emissions reduction rate of the birds extinction as blindness outweighs the criticism of human life is intrinsic good and voting negative aligns with the biomass century propagated that climate change belongs to the back burner. Our research project is solid, we provide consistent climate disinformation and use academic as mode of researching the social consensus on the existence and magnitude of climate change. Climate change defense is new, so you should try to confuse when they are seen causally breaking base. Next targets in the reason about NEG, limited people, the groups want to about subsidies only we have in the side public hearings of people living near facilities. The term not greenwashing, drop renewables, decrease emissions, not increase recycling of the using less of material solves the genocidal subscription to the status quo, which was dropped in the residuals and the link does not mean not for future issue doesn't assign blame to black people since as a result of biomass subsidies, status quo greenwashing, the after moves against it by an impact. Okay. First, the role of the judge, your role is not to do null succeed facing biology, both the best method. They said exclusivity, second, zero policy failure, no link to this in the 2A. Then 2 and C, just an assertion that causes 2 policy severely or an impact to it without a warrant to a third, no perf, no link to it. The argument they say that an analytic generally is bad to critique the theory of power in one specific instance and action by the U.S. government. It's also bad or not contradictory statements, which is not they link to it nor an impact coming out of the block. Now, the framework, the balance, or framework, the hypothetical consequence of the plan, the plans, implementation must be all the constantly solves our problems, the conclusion of the plan, including that solvency, the key to clash, comparing opportunity to customer engagement, refinement, engagement, literature, but prerequisite to making their offense portable, absent clash, rigorous academic testing. Nothing is better for viability, IPR stuff. 1, no link, there's no. The reason why we try to exclusively say it is our research and our research only. Second, B, it links equally to them, they use comp city movements and say examples. Then also in their own explanation, link explanation, etc. That proves that they do the same thing, but treating movements the same way. Links to them in their interpretation. The Philic investment stuff, no. Link to we identify specific reasons why environmental justice is good and something those harms are bad. No, your fiat, one fiat is good, it allows for image in future scenarios. The actually has to pay better than ethical consequences of that action model. Without fiat, the results of questions of would rather than should, but rates of would turn into ex-politician actually supporting the plan. Those rates are horrible, making that way. We'll make 100% drop, which you cannot win. From that bad second, power mapping is bad. Drop this as well. The research decided that the feedback is bad. Comment that says it's constructive for trans local movements that is sufficient to mobilize the movements in the face of racial capitalism. Affirming we should build an organized movement does not entail success of those movements are. See those two goals. Third, fiat terms of black and brown access to the state governments because they're able to debate without the question of would. Every single black debater there within a model without fiat would be shut down because they couldn't convince a random politician to vote F. Now, the new framework interpretations out of voter to AC framework interpretations normal means it should not justify us every one of the 1AC, the radical skill stuff, one our interpretation actions because we still get to wear the K, no link, which means that they can't get a second. The power mapping stuff answers the rest of the impact to it. No, we're not going for it. We're not going to hand across apply because the 2 and 1 are not saying it could. Clash is good. We have improves. The education is bad. We this up. Or F, or because of generic. We call this the pricing market. Only this instance, the pricing market subsidies is good because it incident stuff. Market violence returns the impact to predictability. It's not arbitrary in this instance where the claim is the only viable expectation of debate. Now, the pay proper permission to vote the acts make the state action directly. And if the form of state initiated by environmental racism, meaning it's not mutually exclusive, but the alternative framework of which will do below. The first argument is the counterinsurgency to they have to win that the act politics explicitly causes crackdowns and violence. The act is not because the act does not expand state power, state action, develop renewables, etc. It just ends a biomass subsidy, which is to say no link to severance. There's in the 2 and C no reason why we separate B, the entire 160 including the permutation. We say no, get this no co-option, no links, and it's about for the other thing. The Bruno evidence EJ is good. The Bruno evidence is there's no all the answers to the link Bruno link below apply here. Now the scapegoating link 1, we link turn of the cram. The link turn of the cram evidence says that they have not one that the act empowers the state, which was all of the above. The act just ends a negative state action, not a positive state action, which is saying that the 2 and C highlighting proves the link turn because the one U.S. forces biomass under black and state forces them to treat it as renewable. The link turn something is forced biomass undermined black force, which operates in the form of black elitism within racial capitalism. The continued deforestation operates intentionally to harm black indigenous communities. The continuation of plantation power demanding removal of the subjects and opportunity to stop the mass neopological threat to slow violence. The continued deforestation as pure also means you should value the risk of the link versus the risk of the link turn. In every instance, the link turn outweighs the links you're unsure. But the true impact to any link they have gone for is that you should be highly skeptical of the app is either mutually exclusive or the combination of the app. The alternatives that overcome the middle links they have gone for. The forced choice to be highly doing stuff. Two answers to this. One, they have made a choice. They're tired. That's the entire one. I see platformers do not make money. The Woody by myself seems like that created like 5 jobs total, but it destroys their livelihood and harms it up for other things. B, Pure Force says that it harms other forms of black fortune that farmers have asked for abuse of the app. The open space for black and is far more than the alternative alone. The pure evidence. One, no link. There's not a binary choice between black life and black death. There's no reason to talk about the black death and the harms caused by that. It leads that more black death. Second, link to the one he subscribed harms to black life and black living conditions. Just at the same we said we should improve the living conditions to make their lives better. Third is going to talk about black people, black death, and debate. Otherwise, it's always ignored and not included in debate, which is worse because it means that no one ever talks about it in academic spaces, and it's just entirely ignored. The Rosa Parks example, this links to the framing of Jewish crossing me. Forced to defend everything. Ever defended by an author or part of our card is bad. It's made in this quote. The card that they have re-highlighted is quote a quote from a single group in one card that doesn't even the author we have gone for. It means it's not bad for me through the framework debate. Central focus has to be the plan. Anything else is arbitrary. It makes us like defend literally everything any author has possibly done, like their Twitter, etc. Master's tool, drop the link to our pull up from its links to them all more than the app. The government has one sanctioning Woody biomass subsidies and violence therein. So many they change the only solution by the alternative to like violent insurgency, which apparently fails. The alternative, it doesn't solve the app. There's no more to the 2 and C for why. It's able to actually solve it. They just assert it solves the app and instead. So to great certainty, but it doesn't solve global emissions. They've also dropped cause the transition towards warming rate, decreasing short-term fossil fuel use, which is bad. That doesn't solve the global emissions warming. Is global caused by India, China, etc. makes it environmental destruction. And violence is inevitable because it cannot resolve the impacts of the AFF and crackdowns. Does not cause. It means insurgency fails empirically. Every single example of violent insurgency in both the debate, the cards that you've read in every example has been as bad, which they cannot go for this argument. Do you have the perma-crisis stuff?
Yeah, just
no perma-crisis human politics can solve externalities which ensures that anybody solves fascism, reduces colonialism, ensures humans have about some more evidence answers their only theory of empowerment. They cannot go for it. It's not bad to state crackdowns. They have to defend the implication of the alternative. They can't do that. It's probably a reason to vote AFF because the alternative does nothing.
Anything else? 14 seconds. I think. Nope. Okay.
7 for the trend. No fairness.
No, just clash.
probably was just saying the words wrong.
It was like towards the bottom. It was like, oh, you only mentioned the wrong group. So it's like, I'm not sure what the argument is.
I'm not sure what your argument was. Was it like in the alt debate? Sorry, I'm trying to find my flow.
Probably is an alt debate.
On the alt debate, I'll just tell you exactly what I said, straight down. See if I can tell you. I said doesn't solve the AFF, no warrant. Doesn't solve global emissions, and then I jumped to like this transition wars argument. Then I said crackdowns.
So I'm just gonna assume any argument that's like they only.
I'm assuming it's the crackdowns argument. You probably just got like words I didn't even mean. So.
That's fine.
Yeah. Sorry, that took me way too long.
You're good.
You want me to retype all that for you? Is that how you did something? Sure. Technically, you did something. Yes. Oh, I'll just do prefer. That's what I should do. Sorry. I got this thing so far. The extension. Okay. I can use it. Really? Okay, did you like Lexington or did you just like the week debate?
I don't know. It was a little mid. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I guess you went home. That's right. You all didn't Kentucky. Okay, so it wasn't a week in Kentucky then. Yeah.
It's because we went from like Northwestern to the round robin, and then we had some days like back to back to back.
Yeah.
That sucks. I was just tired, you know.
Graham and John, like I saw them on Monday before we left for Kentucky, and they were like, "I want to leave this godforsaken city."
It's horrible.
Every person I've talked to that went to the round robin was like, "Why is it in Lexington? Why Lexington?" Of all places.
It's just like, I
the most mid-debate tournament in college by far.
I also think like a big problem that's happening. I feel like Kentucky more than anything is just like there's more and more online entries for Kentucky. I think precisely for a reason. It's hard to get to.
Yeah.
It's not a place a lot of players want to go. So it's like you travel all the way to Kentucky and then have like 4 or 5 online debates. It's like there's just I feel like there's just gonna be a feedback. More and more teams are gonna go online.
I would be the first one to write the petition for Kentucky to forfeit their spot at a major and round robin. Something tells me that will never happen. So.
Devon's gonna vote you down for
Well, okay. Really tells me Devon might agree with me, but that's a different problem. No, the thing that I don't like the most about Kentucky, this is on recording, and I don't care, is the press experiment they do every year. Oh my god. I think I spent more time on my Kentucky graph sheet the last 2 years than I did my EPT graph sheet last year.
I know that really. I mean, the like 75% thing is whatever. You remember that like 2 years ago or 3 years ago they did a different one where it was like a ranked system.
No, because I think that was right before I started dating all of
It was like I don't remember what it was exactly, but I think they did like you have like 1s and 2s and 3s.
Oh, they just did like traditional prep.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Old school. Oh my god. Yeah, no, it's like they keep innovating, but like backwards every time they do it. Like this year they were like mutuality only. I was like, what do you mean mutuality only?
No, I absolutely agree with that.
But like, are the checkers
Every Kentucky is like, what horror are they going to say?
I talked to one of the Kentucky debaters about this, and they were like, "You don't want this either." and all their coaches are like, "It is just Dan Arnett who's like, I want this." And I'm like, "Oh my god." Sorry, Ethan's. Oh, he went to the bathroom.
Then you don't listen. This is why it's because I'm actually waiting.
Did you enjoy your month off of debate after Northwestern round robin?
So I didn't have a month off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I literally was in Bronx like 4 days ago. So
Yeah. How was the Bronx side tournament?
It was. It was.
fair enough.
Tournaments of all time.
I liked it. It was just like taking a subway for like 2 hours total back and forth every day was like not fun.
I can bet.
Also, Mark Kivamaki also got like randomly attacked by a Times Square Elmo, so that was also something that happened.
That's nuts, but it being Elmo makes it really funny.
Shout out Mark. Okay, KKs.
Okay. Overview stuff on top, or you just go straight through?
It'll be
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Okay, are we good? Okay, cool.
Your role as a white person, TJ, is to reject filling investments into negrophobia at all costs, which means at the end of the day we do not have to win case defense, or also obviously because our argument is that Kansas has represented a violent model of debate that uses black suffering as a way to win against black debaters. They've said they have had 3 aftermates in Kentucky, and not any single one of them did they read this app versus anyone else to prove. They've only used this app to win against black debaters, but also using it to continue reinvestment in the violent forms of pro-term. You can check the wiki now. The impact massively outweighs the case. Pro-term outweighs any fairness or class argument. They go for it because it straight turns class, because the class they want turns debaters into black flesh, and they humanize them because people become numbers on the chessboard in Kansas instead of actual people, and then by how they killed not researching anybody or who the fuck these people actually are, but only research them dying, which means the only alternative can refute white supremacy in ecological settings that creates the best class. Now, framework proper our term is that you should, they are now really quick, they drop every reason for our interpretation is better and still provides class. One, our interpretation that negative links to representation, research, rhetoric, and discourse otherwise these future projects means that the athletes away their epistemological representations, which means they still have class. Now, our answer is not to solve for links for the alternative because voting app obviously not do anything, but our answer line by line here, they say power mapping is bad, doesn't matter if we win our class arguments because our model debate incentivizes better research project. They say predictability, we are predictable under our model, you should be forced to know about the community you're talking about or links to the brilliant evidence we'll do over. Now, Kansas should not be able to talk about black people in debate without doing and recently justified. Their biggest argument they're going to go for in the 2 yards that not talking about these people is network, but they dropped every reason or every way under our interpretation. They can still do that. They dropped that you must specify names, communities, organizations that you endorse. If you cannot do that, it proves your flick investment in the blackness, which is a violent investment into anti-blackness that proves they still get class under our model. They still get to talk about this community, but you must do it in a genuine way, which they have not done. Now, they say you do it too. They drop examples of us naming the Little Manila Rising Group that we named, they refuse to mention. We talked about them starting education for the advocating for racial rights, mean that we've honored their lives, but you have not. Now, I will do a couple of things below. The cross-section is embarrassing. You should ask yourself, why doesn't Kansas talk about the communities they're from? Why do we talk about violence that happens back in Kansas? not good, and the reason why you're not getting one, fiat is worse. That's current evidence that the conceded is an academic view from nowhere that disavows the ways in which power operates because state action requires a position of privilege, which proves our arguments about black debaters having access to those things, because our argument is that most black people from those Stockton communities do not have access to those institutions in the first place. The next argument I'm going to go for about proximity to the ballot can only act as a tool to evaluate whether our political imaginations are valuable or not if the one because the one does not get axed and we get circumvention arguments because the one not articulated pedagogy shift for status quo, you should presume serial policy failure. Now I'm going to do line by line here more necessary. They say what could is key and consequential of its existing. One is drop that it never happens. They haven't had an example for why this is true in debate. But also secondly, we do not pathologize black and brown debaters. You do. Under your interp you get to because under our interp you get to access your ground if you get ethically justified. They drop all the reasons to prefer our model of debate, which means that you should earn negative one is radical skills. Debaters setting competing practices and pedagogies outside of the same focus are good to promote critical thinking skills to support those that stop competing, which is key. And the advocacy of people like Davon Love, Brenda Montez, all etc., which prove next arbitrary testing will straight turn class. Our model debate promotes critical argumentation that's key for arbitrary testing outside of fiat focus, which creates better scholarships and better debaters. But said that, and which means that we should get access to competitive senses, but we think that they're only good under our model debate. And some information is true because they do not have any answers for it now. Their model debate trades off their top-down politics. For counter research for the state will leave the room for the worst kind of discourse on climate change. Their interp allows for climate denialism or warming good debates, which turns cases in the model debate disavows epistemic stuff. Now, I'm going to go to the link debate really quick. One, I'm going to extend the Bruno link as an independent reason. Then you should reject them and their model. They incentivize the use of black suffering in order to galvanize state-based solutions, but they don't solve for the people in the form of cruel optimism and proves above. Now, those communities, the extended Bruno evidence, she says that when the emphasis on black death and little attention to black life reinforces a larger biocentric conception of black people, which makes them always die. Now, this is proof when they use examples of thought community stuff we never mentioned, the little Manita, which proves that Kenneth loves the work, but never wants to actually mention them. This proof in the drop project and everyone Viejo said that we should attend the needs of black people, but say that I'm a hyper-exaggerating, which proves you create infinite feedback loop. We do not care about the gender issues of black people, but only care about what is proper view, which impacts towards the moral debate, and the reason why they independently should not get fiat or they should lose because of their bad representation. Now, the Rosa Party example also goes drop. They dropped that they use the NAACP, who've always been anti-gay, anti-trans, and have had a bourgeoisie version of activism, which means that you can pick out other representations of the NAACP, which is not a new argument. I said you should reject the NAACP at all costs, with proof that the whitewashing movements by dropping examples that they said that Rosa Parks was influential because the Boy Scout movement did not say Claudia Jones was the person who did that. It was the legal stuff I did above. Now I'm going to do this, so I'm going to clean up this a little bit. The link turn. It's not true. They dropped that you're just filling for fossil fuels, which hurt communities of color just as much. But also, voting for you does not solve those things. They say there's a binary between black death and black life, but our argument is that there is not a binary. Right? You reinforce that binary when we talk about the death and never like the alternative is simple is to reject the out favor of militant pedagogy is a rejection. What do you see now? I'm going to do the permutation stuff really quick. When they drop that that the permutation is separate and it's really to reject the team because our argument.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Wait, what was I at?
48.
46?
48.
Wait,
Drop every reason why the permutation is bad. When they drop the severance and they voting issue, reason to reject the team because it makes words activists through bad regulatory politics, makes it impossible to be negative, allows for worldwide fluidity, which proves that means one thing is a voting issue, you reject permutation on face because it's bad. Now, also drop all our examples why performative contradictions being that they do not get to attempt it because they form a counter-routine and link debate proves that they don't care about black people and not trying to solve it by rejecting the app because it's the best way to create epistemological research was they didn't go for fairness and stuff, I don't have to go for it, but our argument is that rejecting the app in this case is sufficient because it means that from a framework they create bad activists means your ballot only signals which team creates the worst activists. Now, go to case, I'm going to go for the plant scene term. You are greenwashing and support renewable, that's the app evidence for our women's value brushed off. They would consider that as the views of the world, called for climate change and misfind the history of Chris Kaplan that caused climate change, blame black individuals for climate change through universalizing, aside from perfect TJ, go read the evidence for our argument that you can reject your face out because of performance. You don't have to win all songs because it's about debate and people that export, not about fiat because voting absolutely isn't doing it.
120. 120. 120. Gotta get that extra second.
I'm gonna do advantage 2, advantage 1.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. That was nice.
Can we close the window?
That's great.
I thought he was playing music for a second.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
We gotta bring the intro to the 2AR.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, new sheet's crazy.
2AR restart. Music is good.
Team more rated.
Thank you, TJ. Okay.
Okay. Good. Great. After this debate, you know that biomass subsidies are bad. It uses a green sacrifice on where the government tells British companies to pollute Black, Indigenous, and Latino communities in the South and California in order for profit under the guise of decarbonization while greenwashing a system that is 3 times worse than fossil fuels, all in order to ship the energy abroad with no benefits to the local communities. The money he is demands from those communities that explicitly oppose the continuance of the use of wood and pellet plants and are currently opposing the expansion in Stockton, California. Only revoking subsidies can solve. The industry is unprofitable and solely kept afloat because we subsidize the industry and gives billions of dollars to those companies. Only we have evidence that cites demands of people living near the plant. Public hearings prove overwhelming majority of local communities oppose use and expansion. Insofar as it is good to talk about suffering of Black people, or insofar as it is good to listen, discuss, and respond to their demands, then you vote affirmative because only the affirmative does that. If it is bad, then they would link equally because they drop the arguments around the way that they treat cop city movements are the same. Voting negative aligns with common denialists and put specific demands of Black people on the back burner. I think it's one. Warming locks and extinction due to conflicts of tipping points that make the Earth uninhabitable. It is linear each threshold of emissions reduction dramatically to prevent extinction. That's the line is evidence. It is a justification. It is a justification of the affirmative. It is promotes human life, which is an intrinsic good, and they've dropped that the alternative causes warming, which means that it's often against the critique. The term. They did not answer any of the 1AR's arguments. We are not greenwashing. They dropped the renewables. Decrease emissions, not increase them. Recycling and using less of material solves genocide. Also, its description of the status quo, which was again dropped. The link does not meet our framework interpretation because it is not a consequence of the plan. It is not something that we uniquely create. The affirmative does not assign blame to Black people. It says that it's an explicit result of biomass subsidies, and the status quo is a description of greenwashing proven by what I said above. And the affirmative removes an explicit instance of it. They should not read a terminal impact of this. That you should just vote affirmative flat out. Okay, framework. Our interpretation is the judge should imagine the hypothetical implementation of the plan against either a competitive alternative or the consequences of the affirmative. The links must be to the plan's implementation, and the alt must constantly solve the links. Anything else lowers the bar for negative offense too low. The impact is clash. A model of debate that prioritizes predictable engagement over germane opportunity costs. It develops us into more informed scholars with revolutionary convictions and ensures genuine reciprocal dialogue over their impacts, climate change, and policy, etc. It turns their offense, picking any corner of the library, zeros ability to engage their scholarship. The process of debate encourages adaptive research that refines itself into ethical and in-depth advocacy. Only our interpretation ensures clash. There was an infinite number of unpredictable assumptions and underpinnings or tweets from authors that moved the debate away from how do we best combat climate change and ensure Black leanings to did you spend a month researching your authors? Only our interpretation is key to in-depth at the ultimates in which their interpretation concludes. It is proven by the 2NC answer to transition words being it's a question of pedagogy, and the 2 are not even answering it. Even if you think pedagogical frame does come first, you cannot separate the pedagogy of a method from the results of implementing that method. It would be bad to affirm poetic militancy if it causes warming and mass suffering, even if the underpinning assumptions of the alternative were good. Fiat is good. It allows for imagining future scenarios of action we ought to take, evaluating the ethical consequences of that action. A model without fiat results in questions of would rather than should, where debates turn into would exploitation actions when planned. Those debates are horrible to make the negative win rate 100%. Yes, they're interim justice for clash. However, I said that the prerequisite to us weighing cases when our assumptions are correct and good. Either the impacts are that justification, you can vote out to solve climate change, or it's not justification if you vote out on framework. We don't need to name every single person that supports the plan that the burden is unbelievable. We did not talk about environmental injustice in Kansas because the only examples are windmills, which is not an argument. Their model kills clash because the NEG can winning on any arbitrary link to the app. It is proven by the fact that Twitter has gone for Indo-ACP bad because you quoted them once. You're boring impact authors like renewables and NAF bad, and you don't know a person's name. Those are all extremely arbitrary and ought to be rejected. This 2 framing on can still talk about black people makes their impacts worse. They accept the threshold that names certain black people according to specific people, meaning that their impact is inevitable, and the choice is whether or not the discussions are valuable at all. They are, otherwise white people would never research these groups at all. The only reason we are aware of these groups and these demands is because we research the AFF and want to do more. They say fiat is bad, fiat is good for above, the power mapping stuff, power mapping is bad, the research design of competing taxes is bad. Frame evidence that says it is constructive for translocal movements, not that it is sufficient to mobilize those movements in the face of racial capitalism. Affirming it, and we should build an organized movement does not entail success of those movements or entail to their goals. C, fiat should black and brown people around access to the state. Otherwise, white judges would punish them for not convincing some random politician every single debate. They see serial policy, the other drop the 1 yard. There's not a link. Just name dropping the argument does not mean they win it without a warrant. Why take the AFF model and make that happen? No link means you cannot vote on it. Drop no link to Rattle's skills, but there is a link to our offense. Their model excludes weighing the average against the class, but they can still weigh the K under our model, which solves it. K problem. Starting on the alternative, they dropped it cost of transition worse than warming by increasing the short-term cost of fuel use, which means that the method is a bad idea. We can vote affirmative because our education is better even if they win the entirety framework. The NAACP link is bad. 2C crossing framework is explicit that we should not have to defend things authors did in other instances. The 2C example is the worst of the worst. We did not even read a card from the NAACP. We just wrote a card quoting them and said that we should lose because they have been anti-trans in the past. Strike this argument and make the central locus of the debate the plan. Anything else is arbitrary and leads to our framework often because it is infinitely nebulous. I don't know what 1AC Calder said on Twitter, but I bet they don't know what the 1AC Cone has said. What 1NC Kona has said either. The Verona evidence of threshold for the link should not be to the app name every person, the community, and group. That's of course the app. Is the app a good idea? The pick is new. Saying rejects it at all costs and saying affirm every part of the affirmative except that it bolsters our very confidence because it's infinitely regressive and it means the negative would win 100% of debates by just picking out of some random tweet. The link turns it because it means that we're not just focused on black death but also enhanced black living experts, which dropped by the 2 in our subsidies for forced biomass undermine black forestry, which operates as a form of black livingness within racial capitalism. Continued deforestation operates intentionally to harm black and indigenous communities. It is a continuation of a plantation power that only the affirmative is able to solve for, which increases black livingness. The permutation to both, it solves the entirety of the affirmative. It does not cover any portion of the app because we still defend the entirety of the affirmative, but it also would engage in poetic militancy, which solves all of the arguments about it.